Well, UTSA spring game coming up here in a couple of days. I wanted to give you guys some insight on what I'm going to be looking for in that particular game and what are my expectations for it, right? So there's 5 things that I want to key on here because I get the question a lot, in the spring, what is most important in the spring? What are we trying to drive towards, so on and so forth? And that varies season by season. And I think this season is probably the most important spring that we've had in recent history for UTSA. So without further ado, let's get started with that. The first thing I'm going to be looking for is the quarterback situation. Who rolls out first? I think that means something. We'll probably see McCown come out first. And I know that Coach Traylor has been consistent about both of the guys have really done well this spring, and they've both taken reps with the ones. And right now, he does not have a definitive starter. I've seen, I think, Mike Craven come out earlier this morning talking about, he thinks that UTSA is in such a good place with both of the guys we have that we may not go into the portal and bring in a veteran this month, right? So I think that's going to be important. But I think just the way that quarterbacks will command the offense, the way the quarterbacks communicate with, the team before the snap and things like that, those are going to be real essential to identify what's really going on, what UTSA is really going to look like come next season. Also, just to see those guys in a situation where they are competing for a starting job and after another year of development from them, right? So we'll be able to see their skills a lot more refined than they probably have been in the past because they are getting a lot more attention to both of them. So to me, that's going to be huge. Also, I think a thing that is not talked about enough is, there's a difference from receivers catching the ball from a left-handed quarterback to a right-handed quarterback. How does that, play into things? Also, their skill sets, being able to see their skill sets on display with relatively equal reps, for the fans to look at and also for the coaches to look at, because now you're going to have those guys in there with a fairly significant crowd to see if they're going to be able to play. So that quarterback situation is going to be huge. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing that I think everybody's going to be looking for. So won't spend much more time on that. The second thing that's going to be real key, at least for me anyway, is how do we reload at that wide receiver position? I know people are talking about, J.T. Clark's coming back next season, but with him coming off significant injuries back to back and all of these surgeries and things that he's had going on with him, we can't expect a ton from him, right? We can't expect him to be the J.T. Clark he was 2 seasons ago. So we obviously seen Devin McEwen emerge late last season and really started to be a standout for UTSA. But who are the other guys who are going to step up and really showcase themselves? Is it going to be, the TCU transfer? Is it going to be the Tech transfer? We got a couple of guys that we brought in that are really talented. And we have some guys that's already on the roster, but who stands out, right? Who or is going to roll out first with the first team, and who's going to be the one making the big plays? Who's going to be able to beat man coverage and get loose after the catch? I think that's going to be really important because that'll give us a picture and a depiction of what our offense is going to look like based on those guys outside, right? I know Coach Traylor talked about we'll be able to stretch the field a lot more because we have speed on the outside, because I believe, what do we have? 3 guys that run sub 10.5s, right? So that's going to be huge. But are those guys going to be shifty and quick, as they evade tackles and after the catch? That is something that we don't know yet, and we're going to have to see. We've had that in the past. We'll see if we have it this year as well. But I think that wide receiver position is going to be huge, considering that we have, youthful quarterbacks or quarterbacks that doesn't have a ton of experience. What those receivers can do on the outside and making those guys' lives a lot easier is going to be pivotal to the road running success. So I'm going to be very clued in on what we're going to see from that receiver position as well coming this Saturday. The third thing that I'm going to be looking at is just what will the offense be showcasing to the public? That to me is huge. And you can kind of bottle that up into play calling. what are we going to so here's the way to think about it. The offense or the defense is not going to show a ton outside of what they do from a base standpoint because they don't want to give opponents coming into next season any additional ammo or any clue in of what to expect from UTSA. So we're going to get base and generic stuff. But a lot of the times when they draw up these game plans for something like a spring game that's going to be out to the public, they do want to showcase their ability to be able to move the ball, right? So you're going to see them keep the play calling simple, but they're still going to try to showcase what we have on the field and give those guys an opportunity to make plays. So in my opinion, you'll really know early, based on how we play call with these guys, what they already feel comfortable with our offense executing. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see things that they're not comfortable with because it's a showcase. That's what these things are. What you're going to see is some of the base plays that we have that we are really good and efficient at executing. And we'll see those plays. It'll be interesting to see what those plays are. That to me is going to be huge because it'll show you how the offensive coordinator is looking at his quarterback, how the offensive coordinator, how he profiles the receivers he has at his disposal. Same with the back, same with the O-line. Is he doing a lot of quick passes to make it easier on the quarterback or to help out the O-line so they don't have to, block for a 5-step drop and that sort of thing. So I think you can get a lot on – they're not going to show a lot of the dynamics of the offense in terms of the play calling, but you will be able to get a clue of what everybody's comfortable with, and I think that tells a story in itself. The fourth thing, the battle in the trenches. Obviously, quarterback protection this upcoming season is going to be huge. How will our offensive line be able to hold up against our defensive line? Obviously, with that defensive line, they lost Trey Moore, but I'm not too worried about our defensive line because, we have produced, really good players on the defensive line throughout UTSA. I don't think there's ever been a season where UTSA's defensive line didn't show up and wasn't a pivotal and important part of the offense and important part of the defense and a major catalyst of the defense. So I think that'll be fine. But I'm more interested to see, can our offensive line hold up against our defensive line? That, to me, is going to tell a lot. And I think some of the play calling, as I spoke about in the last, in the showcase, will show what's been happening in practice. If you see a lot of quick passes, get the ball out of their hand, you'll kind of know at that point that our offensive line has been having trouble with our defensive line. But I'm hoping that it's been a pretty even battle both ways, and I'm hoping we'll be able to see our offense sort of do everything. I think that'll be important. The last thing, my fifth thing that I'm going to be focused on and I'm going to prioritize that I look for in that game is the secondary, right? UTSA's lost two big-time players in Cam Alexander to Oregon and Rashad Wisdom, who is hopefully going to continue his football playing career in the NFL on the next level. But I think those are two big shoes to fill, to be fair. I think both of those guys had excellent seasons. Rashad Wisdom has been a great player for UTSA for years. But how do we now move on from those guys and implement some of the new crop in, how they're going to look, right? Are the receivers going to just be running by these guys, or how are these guys going to, as safety, going to come down and support the run? They're going to really get tested because we have speedy receivers and we have a three-headed monster in the backfield at running back that's going to test those guys, not only from a physicality standpoint, but we have guys at running back that can also make you miss in space. So how, whenever there's a one-on-one situation and our safety is going to have to come down and make a play, we're used to Rashad Wisdom making making those plays most of the time. Is our new safety at that particular position going to be able to do that? So that is something that I'm going to be clued in and watching for as well. But those are 5 things that I am going to certainly be looking for at the spring game this year. I'd be curious to hear some of you guys' thoughts on this and what you guys will be looking for as well. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace. See y'all Saturday.